Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today we're going to be doing this extremely simple Tack-It method chunky glitter ombre. As always, I'll make sure to put everything that I used today into the description box below so that way you guys can find it and shop those items if you would like to. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And now let's wake up, prep those tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. We are outside, and I've already prepped my tumbler, and I've already spray painted my base this metallic paint color by Rust-Oleum because I'm doing a silver and teal ombre. So I went ahead and already did the base in this color, and I let that dry completely. Now I'm going to show you guys how I like to do my ombres. Now for the teal spray paint that I'm using today, I am actually using a Krylon brand or Krylon spray paint. This is called Satin Sea Glass. I know I love Rust-Oleum, but I really like this teal, so that's what I'm going to use today. I'm going to shake that can up really good. I'm going to give it a couple spritzes just to make sure that it's nice and smooth when it comes out of that nozzle because we don't want a gloopy ombre on our tumbler. Now I'm just going to take my tumbler here on its wand and I'm going to hold it completely horizontal. And as you can see, I'm just doing short bursts of that color completely around. I'm going to start up at the rim and then I'm just going to gradually make my way down and just let that paint kind of cascade across the base of that tumbler. But the ombre is a little bit important in this one because you'll kind of see it through the Tack-It method once we go to apply it. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys how I like to do my ombres. But if you accidentally make any little drips or anything like that, it's okay to let that dry completely. Give it a little sand and go back over it once more with your paints. Now I'm just going to let this sit outside and dry, and then we're going to take it inside and move on to that next step. Now we are back inside and my ombre is nice and dry. I really like how that turned out. I think that was just enough silver for me. Now, for those of you that don't know what Tack-It is, this is essentially a glue that once it is completely dry, it is still tacky to the touch. I have a nice fluffy brush, my fancy Wet n Wild makeup brush that I got from the dollar store, and now we are going to apply our glue. Now I know some people like to kind of water their glue down and do it that way. I'm just going to squirt it directly onto my tumbler. I'm going to go completely around it. I'm going to take it out into my garage. I'm going to blow dry it to make sure that it's nice and dry, and you'll know when it's dry because it turns completely clear. After I do that, I'm going to actually come through and apply a second coat of Tack-It over top of my first Tack-It. Now the reason why I prefer to do 2 coats of glue over top of each other is just to make sure that I have enough glue and everything's going to stick down properly. If you guys don't like to do 2 coats of glue, that's perfectly fine. There's no right and wrong in doing art, guys. I just rather be safe than sorry when it comes to this part because this is the whole look of this tumbler, so that's why I like to add this extra glue over top. Now the 2 chunky glitters I'm going to be using today are from my glitter shop. The silver one, there we go, is called Suncatcher Silver, and the teal is called Gulf Coast. But you can obviously use your favorite holographic chunky glitter that you already have on hand. Now we're going to apply this ombre just like you typically would with any type of ombre that you might be doing. There's nothing too special to this part. I like to start at the bottom first, so I'm going to go ahead and load up those glitters completely around the bottom. Now as you can see here, I like to kind of pinch my glitter and add it that way. This is just how I prefer to do it. I really think it makes the ombres look a little bit better, but this is just how I've always done it. So you guys just do your ombres how you normally would and make it more comfortable for you. So now that I make sure that my bottom is all hit up really well, and then I just bring it around the corners and I just let it kind of fall naturally down the tumbler as I rotate around. And I know it's a little bit harder to tell at this angle, that's why I brought my camera up a little bit, but I'm almost holding my tumbler straight up. You want it just at a really nice angle to make sure those glitters fall naturally down your tumbler. Now that I like the way that looks, we're going to move on to the teal. Now just propping it up the other way, we're going to take our teal here and we're going to start at the very top. We're going to start at the rim. Do the same thing. We're going to load up our rim really well and just kind of let those glitters naturally fall as you go. And then you just want to keep on going until everything is filled in really nice. So that way when we go to burnish everything down, there won't be any little missing spots or anything like that. Now, once you get closer to that bottom silver, you're just going to kind of take your time and make sure that you sprinkle and blend it in really well. And you can even come through and add a little bit more silver as well to kind of just make sure everything is nice and blended. I didn't really need to do that, but if you need to, that is perfectly okay to come back through and add just a little bit more if you need to before we start the burnishing process. Because once you start burnishing it down, you can't add any more glitter or anything like that. All right, now that that is all done, I have a clean piece of paper here because everything that we start to burnish down here is going to fall on that paper, and I don't want to mix it with my other stuff there. So now, as you can see, I'm just using my fingers and I am just rubbing kind of gently, but a little rough at the same time. You kind of want to be a little rough with it, and you want to just push all those glitters around. Now, a lot's going to fall off, and that's okay. That's exactly what it should be doing. There's going to be some that fall off, and there's going to be some that lay completely flat against your tumbler, which is going to give us that nice, beautiful holographic look that we are after. I make sure that I hit it around my rim really well. I take my fingernail and I just kind of run my finger through there and make sure there are no little pieces sticking out. And I just keep on going. And after I am done with the teal, I'm going to come up, because I did the teal first, then I'm going to come up with my finger there and I'm going to start burnishing down the silver portion. Now, all that glitter that fell off onto that paper is perfectly fine. It's okay to reuse that stuff. It's just mixed silver and teal at this point. So you could do some type of, fancy mix for yourself with whatever falls onto that paper there. But there's nothing wrong with that glitter. Now, once you have everything completely flattened out against your tumbler here, I like to take it outside and I'm going to give it a good coating of my 2x Ultra Clear Cover Spray that I like to use. Here we go. There it is right there. That's what I like to use. I like to give it a nice coating of that before I apply my epoxy. This really helps out with any of that epoxy wicking away off those chunky glitters, because sometimes it does happen. Then we're going to let that cure overnight. Now here it is the next day, and look how smooth that is. Absolutely beautiful. What do you guys prefer? Do you prefer the epoxy method, or do you prefer doing the Tack-It method when it comes to these chunky holographics? Now, because it is so smooth, I don't need to do any type of sanding at all. There's nothing sticking up at all. The only thing I'm going to make sure I come through and do is clean up my rim really well, because you definitely want to do your rim in between every single coat of epoxy that you do. It just makes it a lot more helpful in the end when you're all done. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I did my decal, because I did an offset and this bottom portion is actually a holographic vinyl, which is kind of harder to kind of get around those tumblers. And I just wanted to show you guys how I did that, since I put my decal straight in the middle there. I'm going to go ahead and get this peeled off of my backing here. And once I have it peeled off my backing, which took a little bit because sometimes it sticks, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut right into the middle here. I'm going to go as far as I can in, all the way to that G there. And then I'm going to take another side here and I'm going to slice all the way up to the eye there. And that's going to make it a lot easier when we go to apply it into the center here. Now I'm going to get this all lined up, and as you can see, it is right in the middle of that curve. So these little tabs are going to really help us out. Now that I have it laid down where I want it, I'm going to kind of get a closer view for you. It will start to kind of pucker a little bit in some areas, and that's okay. You just want to hold on to your tabs, and you want to make sure that you burnish everything down really well, and just keep pulling and tugging at everything and making sure that it forms very smoothly to your tumbler, because we want these holographic vinyls to be nice and stuck down, so that way when you go to apply your epoxy, they don't pop up on you and make a lump and stuff like that. We don't want that, right? No. So as you can see, I like to take my hand and kind of warm it up a bit and just make sure everything is nice and flat. Now for the white portion here, I just completely separated it. It just makes it a lot easier when you go to do that offset. So I'm going to go ahead and line up all my little decals, do them one by one. And just like the tumbler says, you got this. I know you guys got this, and your artwork is going to be way more beautiful than mine. I already know it. After I get my decals applied here, I'm going to do 2 last finishing coats of epoxy. And my favorite epoxy is Alumilite's Amazing Clear Cast Plus, which has UV inhibitors in there to make sure it doesn't yellow as you're using it throughout the summer and beyond. I'm going to let that cure the recommended time that they give, which is, I believe, 3 days, and then it is ready to go. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.